Hey everyone, hope you're doing great. This week's episode is all about sustainability assessment questionnaires. What is this? Usually it comes to you from your large client and it's an email and it's an Excel spreadsheet and they ask you to fill out a couple of questions about greenhouse gas emissions or some policy. Or they give you a link to some portal where you have to log in as a supplier to them and answer some questions. Let's talk about what it is, what to do, who's doing it, and what to do next. Okay, so where does this all come from? Well, let's take a walk back in time. Several years ago, Walmart asked some key suppliers to fill out a new questionnaire, which they called the Supplier Sustainability Index. And for environmental people around the world, they cheered, yay, because some big giant company like Walmart putting pressure on their suppliers to start tracking greenhouse gas emissions and making promises for reduction, that can change the game. And so that's typically what you would see from big companies like Walmart, but we're starting to see it from other ones. I made a list today. Hershey, Walmart, Volvo, General Motors, Smurfit Kappa, Epson, Sunkist, BMW. The list goes on, and we're seeing this. So if you are a company that supplies to one of these big companies that's starting to care about their supply chain, then you may be getting this sustainability assessment questionnaire in your inbox. So I was at the Advanced Design and Manufacturing Expo this week, and that was in Toronto near the Toronto airport. And there were lots of vendors, lots of folks that are either based in Canada or the US or abroad, let's say in Europe, that are manufacturing things or supporting the industry, maybe packaging or design, plastics. Anyway, as I went from booth to booth or talked to person, I typically ask them, by the way, is anybody putting a bit of pressure on you to have an environmental policy or track your greenhouse gas emissions? And guess what I heard? Today, it was at least 50%. And one person even said to me, yeah, we're seeing these way more frequently. The first is usually about your emissions. So, are you tracking your greenhouse gas emissions? And number two is, are you setting any targets? So maybe you have a target of reduction by 40% by 2030 and net zero by 2050, right? So they're looking for targets. They're also, number three, is looking for an action plan to get there. So it's one thing to just say you're going to do it, but they want to be able to see that you are doing it. Number four would be anything else related to the environment. Are you tracking your energy, water, waste, anything like that? Number five would be anything social. Do you have a human rights policy? What about diversity, equity, and inclusion? Questions like that. And then number six would be all about governance. So, do you have a process in place to make sure that this isn't all just writing and fluffy, but that you're actually going to do it and they can depend on you to achieve this goal? So, what to do when you get this? Don't ignore it, because if you ignore it, likely in 6 months or a year, they're going to look at your score and it's zero, you didn't take it, and they're going to choose a different supplier. They're going to move on from you. So it's not only strategic to be good, but it also will allow you to maintain your customers as they change and evolve and take on these new environmental initiatives. I hope this was helpful. So if you get one in your inbox, read it through. Don't panic, but assign somebody at your company to start looking at it or reach out to somebody externally for help. There's lots of resources out there. Make sure though that you answer their questionnaire within the time frame and that you seek help when you need it. So put your hand up. All right, I hope this was helpful to you and thank you again for watching. Have a great day.
Sometimes I wonder if I felt more at home in my own skin instead of always feeling fake. With my genuine moments, stop feeling off and out of place.